and welcome to our webinar. So this is a webinar called Use Learn with NALA as a blended learning tool. So I hope you can see my slides there. So what I'll be stepping through today is the new Write On platform, so what we're calling Learn with NALA. And I'll be going through how you're going to get started if you're a centre, how to create an account, how to register for a course and multiple courses, and then how to view activities within courses. So people can use this in their own right. So if you have any friends or relatives who are interested in learning, they can use this as a tool, so it's free to use. But if you're in a centre and you wish to use it as a tool within your centre, we recommend you joining us as a registered centre, and I'll go through the benefits of that today. So to set up as a centre, if you're interested in using this tool after today, the first thing that you should do is to request a Memorandum of Understanding, which is what we call the MOU, from Elaine Mullen. So you can simply email mou@nala.ie. Now, if you've previously been a centre that's been registered to use Write On, you can get this form, and it's very similar to that form, and complete it and send it in to us. It does mean, though, that every centre who was using Write On before will have to re-register with us, because this is a brand new platform and we're starting from scratch with it. So just because you were a centre before, it doesn't automatically mean that you're added into the new platform. So you do need to complete this MOU and send it in to us. Typically, if it's a principal of a school or somebody who's responsible for the centre, would be the person who would be our appointed contact then going forward. And they would be the one that would request this and complete it. So if you are a tutor in a centre, discuss this with your management team if this is something that you'd like to use going forward, and then they can request this MOU. And if you have any questions at all about the whole registration process, you can also send an email to mou@nala.ie. So when you've requested the MOU form and sent it back to us, we also ask you to send back a centre logo, because we're now going to be placing logos for all the centres that are using this new platform on the platform itself. So we ask you to send that in. If you don't have one, that's okay, we can make one for you. And then we also ask you to make sure that you have membership of NALA. So currently the membership cost is €50 for a small organisation or 150 for a large organisation. That's per year, and there's a lot of different membership benefits as well, like being able to avail of a NALA Student Development Fund, which is up to €650. So I would recommend that if you have any questions about membership, if you were a member before and you want to see if your membership is still valid, to contact my colleague Margaret Murray, and that's at mmurray@nala.ie. So once you've sent in the MOU with your logo and your membership is up to date, then you can attend one of our webinars. So you can check out our website, nala.ie /events. And we're trying to schedule at least one every month, if not two every month. We're also putting the recordings up on the NALA events page as well, so that you can play them back. And once all of these things have been done and the MOU is processed, then we'll set you up as a centre on the new platform, along with your logo, any tutor accounts, and also we'll give you a test account, okay? So the centre contact will receive the email with the details. So it's important that whoever is completing this MOU, if there are 5 or so tutors that would like to use it, that they're all named on the MOU form as well, and then we can set them up. At the moment, we're allowing just 5 tutors per centre, but certainly if you have more tutors who wish to use it, just let us know and we can set that up as well. So that's something we're very happy to do. So once you have applied to become a centre, we'll send out an email to that centre contact and to tutors, which will look something like this. So we'll tell you that you're now set up on the new platform. We'll give you a very specific link, and I'll explain what that link is going to look like in a minute. We'll give you some support. So there's some videos that we've done to get you started. We've also created a short getting started guide. And then all the tutors will get their own login. So as a tutor, unlike on Write On, where you had to create maybe a test account, and then you only were able to see the same view as the learner, now as a centre tutor, you will be able to log in and see the progress of your learners. So that's a new thing. And as a result of that, it's something that we in NALA do the administration of. So we set you up as a tutor so that you can go in and log in, and we'll automatically enroll you into all the courses that are active. So you don't have to do that yourselves either. So we'll give you an initial password, which you can go and change afterwards. And we'll give you the link that you use as a tutor. And then we'll also give you a test account. Okay, so each centre will get one test account. Unlike Write On, the number of users is based on a license model. So we've purchased or pre-purchased a number of licenses for this year. And as a result, we're trying to keep it quite tight on the number of people that are using it. Previously on Write On, we would have had in the order of something like 70,000 accounts, but a lot of those accounts were test accounts, and it wasn't giving then a true representation of how the platform was being used. So we're using this licensing model now. So we would ask that you don't create any test accounts yourselves, but we will give you a tutor account that will show you what the learners will see in addition to being able to see learner progress. So I'll show you the tutor view later on in this webinar. And then we'll also give you links for any webinars that are up and coming. We'll give you the free phone number that you can contact us on at any time, Monday to Friday. And also there's a link to a Google form. So if you have any issues or queries, we look in this periodically, and then we'll get back to you directly if there's something that you spot that you think's an error on the platform. So the whole reason behind all of this process and why we have a setup like this, so it's, as I say, a new thing. So anybody who was a tutor before on Write On then gets set up or can get set up as a tutor on the new platform. And we do that because we send out a very specific link for your centre. So each centre will get a slightly different link. And that link will bring you to a page which looks like this. So this is the Create Your Account page. So this is the page that your learners will use to create an account. So again, we're not moving any learner details from the old platform to the new platform. So that's for GDPR reasons as well as many other admin reasons. So we're really starting from scratch here, which means that as a centre you need to re-register, but also as learners, learner accounts have to be created from scratch as well. And this is what the account page looks like. What you'll notice on the bottom of the account page is that there will be an item here called Learning Centre, and your centre's name will be listed here. So you're getting a specific link that lists your centre name and only your centre name. So previously on Write On, when a learner was going to create an account using the same information that's here, there would have been a drop-down list of about 190 centres. And the odd time learners ended up enrolling in the wrong centre and we'd have to move them over and so on. We also had a category called None that a lot of learners or test accounts were set up against. And unfortunately, when learners did use the category None, then when they weren't in a centre, and if there was an issue with their work later on at certification time and we needed to contact the learner, sometimes we couldn't get hold of the learner. Whereas if they had been in a centre and the centre was registered, then it's easier for us to be able to contact the centre directly and then be able to follow up with the learner so that the learner can resubmit work if needed. So this is a new advantage with the new platform in that there isn't a big long list here, that there's just the one centre listed here. so that the learner doesn't have to worry about working their way through a long list. So if I show you on the website itself what this looks like. So here, for example, I have a specific link for a specific center. Okay, in this case, Norge. So there is a video on the top of the account page here that explains all the fields that are below. So that can be played by the learner. You can put in a username, which is just really a way of providing an identity for somebody to log in. So I'm going to create a new account called Test Learner 5. I put in a password. So unlike Write On, you can choose your own password. Now, the learner will need to put in an email, okay, and that has to be a unique email. So this is unlike Write On, whereby an email wasn't needed. The other thing to note is that all the details that are here, if it's a learner who's in a centre that's not an ETB, those learner details will go on to the SOLAS PLSS database. So it's a requirement by SOLAS that any organisation that's funded by SOLAS, which includes NALA, has learner details put into their PLSS database, which is a requirement by EU member countries that are funded through the European Social Fund. So even though if you're in an ETB, we are requesting information here that's the same as non-centre learners, just to keep things easier for us to manage. But learner details for learners who are in an ETB will not be put into PLSS. So we note this when you go through the MOU process, whether you're in an ETB or not in an ETB. So you can be certain that, yeah, the information won't be uploaded. But we do need this kind of information for QQI purposes for certification. So this is why we're requesting it. So if I put in Test Learner 5, okay, the PPSN is required. Okay, so previously we didn't require PPSN at the start when a learner enrolled. We did require it at the end of their learning journey. However, because we now have a requirement to put in learner data into PLSS at the start of a learner journey for non-ETB centre learners, it means that we need the PPSN because some learners won't go on to complete certification. We have to have a mechanism of putting those non-ETB centre learners onto PLSS. That's why we're looking for the PPSN up front. So what we've found so far is that a lot of tutors, because of COVID, are setting up learners remotely themselves. So they're having a discussion with the learners, you know, making sure that it's okay to have their PPSN, and they're setting up the accounts for them. Or if you can set up a Skype session and do it together. So the libraries will also be open over the summer, so that might be something to think about as well. And certainly come the autumn, hopefully all the learners will be back in centres. So then you'd be providing the learners on their computers with this link here so that they could fill out the form. There are other things to fill out, unlike on Write On, so there's a terms of service and privacy policy. If you click on any of those links, it will bring you to the privacy policy page. And all the information that's here is explained in the video above, including how to go back to the form page, which is in the other tab back here. Okay, so there are videos that explain this. So then click on Create Account. And that's the account created for the learner. So there's 2 steps to getting a learner started. One is creating an account. The second one is to register a learner for courses. At the moment, we have 7 level 2 courses available. Setting learning goals is actually due out this week. And then level 3 courses are due out in July, We're hoping to have the first one of these personal effectiveness ready for the end of June. So as courses become available, they will all be available here to register against. Okay, so you can see the order in which courses are coming out. For the moment, if I want to enroll a learner in one of these courses, then I would click on Register Now. And what that does is that it registers that user account against that particular course. Now, unlike Write On, when a learner went in, all the courses that were available on a platform were there for the learner. So this is different because you could just choose one course if you wanted. If you're enrolling on behalf of a learner or alongside a learner and you want to enroll them in multiple courses, then at this point, what I would recommend is if you go to the back button, and it brings you back to this Start Now courses page, and then select the next course. And then they're enrolled on writing. Go to the back button again, just to bring you back to this page, and then enroll for the next course. And you can keep doing this for all 7 courses. Okay. So in this case, I've chosen some of the courses, not all of the ones that are available. And now I'm going to click on clicking here. And what that does is it brings me to this page. Now, because I've already been logged into the platform, I need to log in here again. But as a learner, I don't need to do this. I'll be automatically able to go in. Okay. So it's important to try and think of the platform in 2 parts. There's the outer part where you create an account and where you register for courses. And then there's the inner part where you have the actual content itself, the courses. Okay. So this is what the inner part looks like. And this platform is called Brightspace. So with Write On, unfortunately, it was very successful, but there was several things from a reporting perspective and administrative perspective that meant that we needed to make a lot of changes to it. And over 10 years, that's a very long time in the software world, and it was getting quite difficult to maintain and update. So it came to an end of life. Unfortunately, it won't be resurrected, but we went through a long tendering process to use this new platform, Brightspace, which is being used by TU Dublin and UCD and a lot of other third level institutions as well. So we're very excited to partner with D2L, who have provided this Brightspace platform. And within the platform, what you see is a home page that looks like this. Okay. This test center here and the image is the banner for this particular center. So if I just go back to my slide again here and just show you the banner. So when you send us in a logo, it should be 1200 by 240 pixels. Okay, you don't really need to worry too much about that. But just to note that if you do send us in a logo, we need to fit it into that kind of dimension. So if you give us a very, very big logo, we might have to resize it to cut it down. If you don't provide us with a logo, as we say, we can make one for you. So we'll go to your website, we'll look for like the title of your center, and we'll make a banner for you so that it'll fit into the web page. And the other thing that you can do if you are sending out the links to your learners is you can use a website like tinyURL, which will shorten that very long link that we send to you in an email. So if you wanted to use that, you can go to tinyurl.com, put in the long link that we give you in Nala, and it will generate a shorter link. So learners can go and create accounts themselves. Or if you're creating the accounts for learners, once you have put in your username, password, and registered them for courses, then you can go to the Nala website. scroll down to the bottom and under free courses, go to login. Okay, it's going to be the same link that we'll give you as a tutor. So you don't need to remember these steps either, but that's just another way of getting to the login page. And just before I go back to the platform again, just to highlight some new things. So we have a branded center homepage. We have some instructional videos we didn't have before. We have some new question types. There's the ability to dip in and out of lessons, unlike before. We have some badges, and then the tutor login where you can see learner progress. So there's also a survey, which I'll show you at the end, which will be great to get your feedback, and I'll provide that as a link in the slides. So just going back to the site itself then. So this is the inner part, white space, where the e-learning is. And your logo goes up here, because the way we look on it is, although we're calling the website Learn with Nala, they're your learners. You're the one that's preparing them for certification. So we want to put your logo up there so that your learners, tutors, all feel affiliated with your centre. So when you send us the logo, this is where we'll put it, so that when learners log in, they'll see that. And then any courses that they've registered for are here. Okay, so there's 4 listed there at the moment. If I wanted to sign up for another course, then later on, what I can do is return to the link that was provided in the email from Nala. And then while I'm logged in as this particular learner here, okay, so this test learner 55, the browser here is picking up that I'm still logged in. Okay. So what I do is go to Start Now, and then pick another course. We'll say Using Technology. Okay, and then clicking here. And now the Using Technology is added here. Okay, if when I go to the page, so just to show you that again, so if when I go to the link, if it doesn't say log out here, if it says log in, then it'll just ask you to log in as an existing user. Okay, so if I log out here, I'll just show you the link again. Okay, so I could always log in on the page as an existing user, which is my learner account. Okay, and that will allow me then to go in and pick another course as that particular user. So we have 5 courses here at the moment. Other things you'll note on the home page here is that there's a video which I can play. So I can enlarge the video by clicking on the square button and press play. Apologies, that's not coming up at the moment. There is, or should be, a short video in there that explains how to use the platform. And also any other announcements that we're sending out. So for example, if it's getting close to the end of certification period, we'll put up an announcement here. So you'll see this by a little indicator that will appear beside these updates. So this is the home page of the site. So you have courses, announcements. You can also browse for courses through this button here, which is called the waffle. And at any time, if you want to get started on a course, then you click on the course. And I just need to log in again here because I'm using multiple accounts. So this won't happen for you. So I click on the course, it'll bring up the course homepage. So again, there's another video here that explains what the course is about and how to get started. So you can play that below. And then click on content to get started on the course. Within the course, you'll see lessons. Okay, so each lesson will map to a learning outcome from QQI. So what I'd recommend is that if we're setting you up as a centre and then as a tutor within that centre, you will get access to all the courses that are available on the platform. So when you go to Home, under My Courses, all the courses will be there. And then you can start the exact same process as I'm doing here by clicking a course, clicking on content, and you'll be able to see the content the exact same way the learner sees it. And why I recommend going in and having a look at it is that unlike Write On, all the different screens are listed here, and you can dip in and out of these and choose where you'd like to start. So it's worth getting familiar with it if you want to use it for blended learning. So if you don't want to use this platform for certification for whatever reason, that's okay. So you can purely use this for teaching lessons. If I want to start on a particular lesson, I click on Start here. Okay. And it brings up the lesson information screens, which looks like this. So again, there's a short video that explains what's within the lesson and how to navigate. You'll see that every piece of text will have a speaker symbol beside it. So the same as Write On, it'll read out the text that's here. And then to move within the lesson, you can either use the next button to go forward or the previous button to go back. Okay. So some of the screens are going to look like this, that they will be information screens with images or maybe videos, and you can click on the different text that's here. And then some of the screens are going to look like this, where they're exercises. So this is very similar to what you might have seen on Write On, where there's drag and drop things that can be done. So for example, in this case, I need to drag the items from the left into the correct place on the right. So I can pull the item across and then drop it into the box. And the instructions on how to do this are given in the videos that are in the start of each lesson. So it explains how to do this. And when I've completed it, and if I'm happy, then I can check my answers and I get a score and some feedback. The other option is if I want to try the whole activity again, I can click on Try Again, and it'll slightly change the order of how things are presented again. So there's a randomization going on here, and I could start into it again. And if I'm halfway through and I'm not really happy with what I'm doing and I'd like to clear it and start again, then I can click on Clear Answers. So once I get a score, and the videos explain this, then when you've got a score, then you've completed that particular activity and you can move to the next activity. And again, we have similar type of activity here, which is drag and drop. You saw me there moving within the boxes, so I can decide to do that as well. So if I drop that one here and I change my mind, I can move it around again. And again, all of this is based on the QQI learning outcome. In this case, it's about identifying patterns in everyday life in the course Pattern and Relationship. So drag and drop questions are very popular at level 2 because of the nature of them. But we have some new question types, which some of them look like this. So this one is called sequencing. So you either have to move things along the bottom, or there's also sequencing, which is vertical. So this is a horizontal one. So you have to move the images in this case, or it could be text, to the right place. So I do that again, similar to drag and drop, where I click on the item and move it along. And when you see the green bar, then that item is in the right place, that it matches with the text above. All of this instruction, again, is given at the start of the lesson. So whenever there's a new question type that might be, a bit daunting for learners, it's explained how to do that. Okay. And when I get all green bars, then I've answered it correctly. Note there's no score in this type of activity. So try again appears so that I can try the whole thing again. Or when I have everything green and right, I can move to the next activity. Again, there's some different activity types. Some are like this, where you have to play a file. So you do that by clicking on the button and then typing numbers in the box. So that kind of question would also have appeared on Write On. Just to show you some of the other newer question types. So if I close this lesson, then I can dip into another lesson like lesson 2. And this one is called Hotspot. Okay, so in a hotspot question, somebody has to look at a picture and then find particular items in it. Now, there's also an accessible version of this as well available. And in this case, they might have to find 4 different things. So if I click on, for example, the chairs, then a question will pop up. How many chairs are in the group of chairs in this kitchen? And I'll answer it and then get feedback. And I continue on until I've answered all the questions that appear. And it'll say below how many things have been attempted. And then when all 4 have been attempted, I can either try again to do the whole activity again or move on to the next activity. So that's giving you a view of some of the new question types and the type of content that's in there. If I come out of this account now and log in as a tutor, so again, remember that Nala will set you up as a tutor, so you don't need to worry about enrolling in courses or anything like that. And we will give you a link that will bring you straight into this page. So it's not the outer part of the platform, it's straight in where the e-learning is. And we'll give you a temporary password, which you can go and change afterwards by clicking on Forgot Your Password. And you can see that the tutor view now looks very much the same as the learner view. Okay, the only difference is that as a tutor, you're auto-enrolled into all the courses that are available. You'll see these under all. There's also an area that we're working on at the moment called Tutor CPD. So we're working on courses like Plain English and Integrating Literacy, and hope to have some offerings in these areas later on in the year as well. So that'll be learning for yourselves to do as tutors. So just to note that. So exact same process as what we saw on the learner view. You would click on the course, click on content, and then you would see the lessons that are available. Okay, so you'll be able to go through the course and you can dip in and out. Previously on Write On, if you wanted to see all the lessons, you could only see the lessons when you had purposely failed an initial assessment so that all the lesson blocks would be available to you. So you don't need to do that now on the new platform. Everything will be there and you can decide where to dip in and out once you've gone through the whole lesson, which I'd recommend to do. When you've visited a page, it'll appear like this as a tick. The other thing that you can do as a tutor is you can click on Course Admin, then Class Progress, and you can get the progress of learners who are enrolled in that particular course. So here I can see my list of learners, and I can click on one of these, and I can see, for example, their login history. I can also look at content that they might have visited. So, for example, if I click on the arrow here, okay, it'll give me a list of topics that they have visited, but I can also click on content and then see it from a content perspective. So, for example, we have our 4 lessons here. So we can see that this particular learner has gone 69% of the way through the first lesson. They've done some things in lesson 2, but they haven't done things in lesson 3 here. And then I can click on the lesson, and that will bring me into the lesson itself, if I want to do that. Or if I go back, so again, go to Course Admin, Class Progress, pick a particular learner, and content. Okay. And then I can click on the arrow here. So in this case, this learner has visited 54% of lesson 1, again, done nothing on 2 or 3. I can click on this arrow, and I can see then the amount of time that they have spent on each of the screens. Now, one thing to note, unlike Write On, whereby a learner had to work their way through a lesson to get towards the end test if they wanted certification, they don't need to successfully complete all the lessons. So they could purely visit a page and get things wrong, or maybe not even really try the lesson either. And in doing so, then the end test could still appear. So it's a little bit like being allowed to sit an end of course exam. You've turned up every day, you've been in class, but maybe you just haven't been paying attention the whole time. So as a tutor, I recommend to log into the course, go to Course Admin, Class Progress, and then look at your particular learners, and then see how long they're spending on each screen. You know, when you see these type of activities like a drag and drop, it's going to take about a minute, you know, and for some learners, it's going to take far more than a minute. So when you see those kind of results, like a minute or 40 seconds, you know that they've probably spent some time on the activity. Whereas if you see 0 seconds, well, in this case, they've never visited it, or maybe they just simply passed through the page. So keep an eye on the timings there to get an idea of how long they're spending on things. This can also be used as an indicator if somebody's spending a very long time on an activity. Maybe they're having to go back over it time and time again, trying it again. You can start to get an idea then, well, you know, is there an issue here? So for example, if I see that this learner visited it, you know, on a particular date and time, and that they've spent maybe 5 minutes on it, then I can click on the page and get an idea that maybe there's something in here that's, you know, an issue for the learner. So that's something that you can do as a tutor. We are launching assessments as well. We have assessments set up for some of the courses at the moment, but not all of them, because we know it's a new platform, or we're trying to give everybody an opportunity just to get familiar with it. We're giving them a chance to go in, have a look at the content, and then launch the assessments. So if I show you an account, another learner account here. Okay, where we have a learner who has been working on assessments, for example. So pattern and relationship, we saw that there was no assessments. Under quantity and number, there will be assessments. Okay, so there'll be a block called What Do I Already Know? So that's the initial assessment. And then the end test is our new name for the summative assessment. So we just felt that these were more nicer terms. And this was based on feedback from learners who felt that assessment was quite a heavy, maybe off-putting term. So we've changed it. So the option is for somebody to come into a course. They can either do this initial assessment called What Do I Already Know? And there'll be tasks that are visible here that they can work their way through, or they can skip it and they can work through all the lessons. And when they've done that, then the end test will appear. The other option would be to fast track to get the end test to appear, would be to work on the initial assessment to get all the questions right, and the same is right on, the end test will appear, and then you can work on that. What you see in the test is very similar to what you saw in the lessons. So if I just show you maybe one of the questions here. Because I've already done this particular one as a learner myself, I have an option to review it or even retake it. So I can go back over the assessment time and time again. And with those end tests, I can repeat it as many times as I want. All the questions will appear, but I only have to get a better grade in the one that I failed. Okay, and there's videos to explain all of this in the lessons themselves. So for example, this kind of drop-down question. And then I get a score. Okay, so it's a very similar type of thing. If I just go back to content here for a minute. Okay, and in the end test, there's a conclusion screen. And that conclusion screen helps learners to know what to do next. So we tell them that, unlike write-on, where they had to fill out a form to say that, you know, this is their own work and they want to apply for award, which sadly some learners maybe forgot to do in cases. Now, once we see that they have done the end test and any portfolio work, we'll automatically go and check it. And if everything appears to be correct, then we will forward them for a QQI award. There's also a My Progress tab that I'll show you now that learners can check it themselves. And there's videos to tell you what to do if you've done something wrong, or what to do when you think you've got everything right. Okay, so those are there. And there's a link back to that courses page where you can sign up for more courses if you want. So as a learner, and this will be similar then for tutors as well, you can go to My Progress, and then you can see again the content that you visited. So that's the same as what we just saw. And then for grades, you'll be able to see the grades for each of those activities that you've done. So the initial assessments, we're calling all the items tasks. And for the summative assessment, we're calling everything questions. So if a learner got all the questions right in the end test except question 7, then they would have an option to go back in again to the end test and go straight to question 7 and then redo that again. I should say that the questions, like write-on, come from a randomized pool, so they may not necessarily get the same question again. So it is testing them. Okay. So that's an introduction to the platform. As I say, the questions and assessments might be if you are purely using this for certification. As I say, not all centres do. So if you purely want to use this as a learning tool, then what I recommend is when you get set up as a tutor, then get familiar with the content by working your way through the lesson. And then you can make a note that if you're doing a lesson yourself on 10s, you could provide practice then by getting learners to go to that particular exercise, and they could then practice those skills.